customer's account. Okay. And customer also knows the same thing, that transportation is higher this time. So we should not convince him on the transportation part, I think so. Because he is also very well aware about all this hike in the prices in last 1 or 1.5 years.
Yeah. So what you mean is that you are going to kind of like give this responsibility back to customers, right? It will not be more in terms of the total cost of ownership that you are going to sell to the customers, correct?
Yes, right.
Yeah. So what normally we do that we ask customer to pick truck scale from our factory directly.
Yes.
So the first bill will be on the customer account. And when we discuss about the pricing and everything, we only discuss about the ex-works prices with customer.
Okay, so customer then they have to arrange their own logistics and transportation then.
Yeah, so we try mostly.
Okay.
If you transportation, you don't want to earn in the transportation. So whatever the actual cost, let customer bear, let him search for an economical solution of transportation. So he can save his money.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, so if the customer willing to do that, that is the perfect solution for us. Because then technically your total cost of ownership that you are going to sell to your customers no longer include this crazy jump, I could say, in the market. Okay. Good. So, hey, if you guys still have any other questions, feel free to put it up in the chat box, right? And we will come to your questions right after our sessions in this next chapter, which is the database software. All right. So, good. Hope everyone is still with me. We have around 1 hour more to go. So bear with me, right? I will make sure that this session is something to help you to open up more doors to get more customers in India, hopefully. Because the software or the system solutions, right, in Weybridge business is, I will not say very new, but at least it kind of taken off to a new height, or what we call the hype suddenly exploded is because of the recent pandemic situation, right? Or even before just before the pandemic, right? There are more conversations in terms of, hey, does your Weybridge give me software? Does your Weybridge actually tell me how many transactions I do, what is the total transaction I do, etc., etc. So the what I call the hype over the software solution unattended, all these start to build up at least during this pandemic era. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is really introduce you to, again, a software that most of you are familiar with. And I will also do a demo on this software. And the most important is I will also demo how easy for you to do an upgrade from, if you still remember, our SS version of the software to the MS version of the software. I will do it live, right? I will show you how easy for you to do the upgrade. Okay, so hey, before I do that, let's go into some of the overview of the database software itself. Hey, I will not go in detail again about the database product family. You know that we have SS, we have MS, and SS is really our what we call a beginner package for all of your customers, right? It is a very simple software. It packs different features enough for customer to use, like reporting, ticketing, even data mapping. We start to put in, especially for the Indian market, right? Because a lot of customers are asking for it. We put it there, and also some of the transaction management features are also put into Database Access. Database MS, I will go a little more in depth later on. I'll also do a scenario explanation later on with Database MS. Okay, we will leave Database MS for now. We will focus Database SS as of this moment. So Database SS is what we call a scale house software, right? Our approach towards this software, we always say that we want a very simple and clean UI, right? And the next bullet point here, easily upgradable to Database MS with added feature. This point is something that even myself and some of my colleagues fail to actually explain to the customer. The reason why I say so is because let's say you buy a software from Microsoft, right? Let's say you buy a software from Microsoft. Do you expect it to be a lot of hassle for you to upgrade, let's say, from a home version to a professional version, right? You are not expecting yourself to uninstall the home version and install the pro version, right? That's not the way to do it. So it's also same as our Database software. Okay, when you install SS, it's very, very simple for you to move to a more sophisticated database software with added feature. Okay, so later on I will show you how easy you can do it, right? And report generation, all these are the usual stuff. But another thing that I want to highlight, if you want to compare, if you really want to do the comparison between the traditional method of doing transaction and the software method of doing transactions, right? You can compare the transaction completion time. Okay, you can count how long it takes for a traditional method and how long it takes for software to capture the transaction. These time differences will be put into the cost consideration. Why? Because every minute counts in the business world, right? Every minute means some dollar and cents. So you could actually do the comparison, you could do the calculations like how many minutes wasted, how many minutes you can save, how many trucks you can bring in more by using the software solutions, right? Last but not least, this one we just, like I said, we just added in because a lot of India customers ask for it. So we added this feature called data mapping. So all the data, I will show later as well, all the data that you do, all the transactions that you do within database is very easily mapped to Excel or custom database that you pointed to, right? So this is something that we put in just for the India market to support you guys to sell more database access to the additional customers. All right, I will not go in detail about all these 1, 2, 3, 4 features that we have within the software, but I built up this slide actually to help you guys so that you guys could use this slide and go meet customers and tell them, database access got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different key points that you can look at is the visual indicator, the top menu, what you have. Data selection is a big button, right? You can reduce the time to search for it. You have a very complete transaction viewer that provides all of the information, gross net pair rate, and some of the other operational data. Number 5 is the buttons for weight confirmation, weight voiding, weight saving, all of that. And last but not least, to meet the requirements of different businesses around the world, we actually put what we call a custom field for your customer to use it. Okay, so this one slide, I do not want to go in detail, but this is something to help you or help your teammate or whoever that is going to meet customers day to day. Okay. Hey, next is also the same. This is another feature that I think personally is very good when you explain to customers, right? First is the preset. So imagine that maybe if you want to do a comparison with other software, custom software, right? A lot of them doesn't put this feature in because this is a bit tedious to program. I know now India is the hub of IT world, right? But a lot of the programmer doesn't put this into the software is because preset feature by having linking of different data to a specific data is not as simple as it looks like. Okay, at least in terms of database. So a lot of them doesn't have this feature, but we feel that this feature is very usable for you guys, for the customers. That's why we have this preset feature actually to help you to navigate correct information in a very short time. So imagine your vehicle number ABC, you know that he's carrying sand all the time or carrying waste all the time. You don't have to go back and select the sand and waste every single time, right? So you preset that. So every time this vehicle comes in, you only need to select the vehicle number. You can skip the material selections. So this gives the operator more time for other things and reduce the number of errors that the operator will have. Okay. Last but not least, the list of consolidated data. We do have a consolidated view for all of your transactions done. Complete the first pass listed within this table itself. You can drag it out and have a full exploded view of this transaction list. And in here, you can actually look at every single transaction that you've done. All right. Okay, so hey, like I said, Databricks SS, I will show later, is very easily upgradable to Databricks MS. Okay, do put more emphasis on this when you go to your customers because I'm getting so many different questions coming from customer itself asking me, hey, if I want to upgrade to MS, if I want to do something in the future, like putting on all these nice high-tech cameras, nice high-tech traffic lights, right? Unattended modules, automations, right? Do I need to erase everything on SS and then migrate to MS? Then that's too troublesome, right? Actually, the answer is no. You do not have to do that. Anything that you do in SS, right? All of the transactions that you do in SS will remain as it is, and when you upgrade, everything you ported to the Databricks MS immediately. You do not have to do any other tedious, repetitive migration work just to migrate to a more advanced operation. Okay, so this is one big feature that I think that you guys should bring to your customers. Okay, and when I go to present to all of my customers, to my dealers, I always educate you guys to customers, right? That Databricks SS bring these three top values to you, which is simpler processing, faster transaction, and easily upgradable to whatever that you want in the coming future. Okay, so it saves your time researching about the future upgrades because we have that settled for you. It saves your time in doing the transaction because Databricks SS have a simple UI. Everything is by a click of a button, right? Similar to how you use a phone, right? Everything is quite fast and smooth. And simpler processing, meaning by a click of a button, the weight is captured and the ticket is printed or the ticket is emailed to whoever that you send. Okay, so Databricks SS value is really simpler processing, faster transaction, and easily upgradable. All right. So before I go into some of the question you may have, I would want to show you Databricks SS software. All right. So in front of you is the Databricks SS software, and I believe if any one of you doesn't have the software, I think Prabha here he will choose the lucky 5, right? To install this Databricks software on your laptop or on your PC. Okay. So hey, Databricks SS One thing that I did not mention to you is you can actually drag and drop all these windows, right? Wherever you like. Okay, this is a selection window. You drop this. The transaction window, you could as well, but I don't usually drop this. I usually just pick the operational data window and imagine what I do. I'll put this into another screen. Right? So I'll put this in another screen if they have a lot of different selections, so that I can have full screen of information in front of one monitor itself and another monitor just to do the operation selections. You could do this. Okay. Aside from that, the other usual stuff is the button here for you to select, and the transaction list that I mentioned is this one. Right? So this list here, again, if you have multi-monitors, if you have 3 monitors for your operators, which is great, you could put this in another monitor. What this does is actually give you the full view of all the transactions done from day one you start your database software until today. And the good thing about this is when you double click, right, this line, when you double click, let's say transaction number 45, it will show you transaction number 45 immediately on the list, on this transaction view itself. So you do not have to actually navigate too many buttons now. All you need to do is to look at this list and you select the transaction. If it's about complete, right? Because now the truck is already in the plant and this truck is coming out, right? You could actually select the vehicle, but if you do not want to, you could just look at this here and select that list itself. Okay? Then you can proceed with your transaction. Okay, so now I will just put it back down here. Okay. All right, so and if you only have one monitor, that's fine as well. You could then fit everything within one monitor. It's just that you have to do a little bit more scrolling in the transaction list itself. Okay. There are some other settings and features that is available in Database Access, but I will not go in detail. But what I want to show you one last one is the data mapping. Okay, this feature we specifically, like I said again and again, specifically put it to you guys. This feature was not available to Database MS previously, only available in Database MS, the MS version that we have. The reason why we want this feature in SS is because a lot of customers now starting to shift towards more data analysis or data processing activity. Okay, so they need all this data and they feel that all this data is essential for their businesses, right? So that's why we make it easier for them in Database Access to extract this data. So you could extract your data to a file that is panned daily, meaning every day you get a new file, right? Excel file, or you could pan it by monthly. Okay, so every month you only got one different file, right? So end of the day, what you get is let me show you. Okay, under this transaction transported data, right, you will get different Excel. So let me just open one that so I can show you the Excel that I downloaded already. Okay, here it is. So this is how the data mapping Excel file looks like. So as you can see here, I got September, October, November, right? So if I open the October file, you could see in front of you all this field is generated by me. It's automatically pushed by Database into this Excel by different events that I set, right? Let's say I set by Excel, by completing, I want it to automatically push into this Excel. it will just push every time I do the transaction. So what happens is that you could use this immediately and pass it to your finance department, to your MES operation department, or wherever that want to see the full data or the full transaction of that day, of that month, or of that year. Okay, so do use this feature to sell Databridge, because this is a very, very powerful feature that we include in Databridge Access. All right, so hey, now. Yeah.
So I just have one question. So can this data can be exported directly to some mail ID or something in database SS?
So in Databridge Access, we only support the Excel mapping. So if you want to map to, let's say, a database, right, that is still in the MS version, because we receive a lot of requests to map to an Excel-based document. That's why we only put that into the Excel for now.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so hey, if any one of you want to learn how to do this mapping, I think Bhushan there know how to do it already. Some of our colleagues in India know how to do it already. You could ask them. If not, you could always send me an email. I could detail out how you can actually do this within the Databridge software. All right, so hey, last but not least, before I go into the Databridge MS, I'm going to do an upgrade from SS to MS right now. Okay, so let's see how fast I can do it after I get my license ID, right? So you could just navigate into this what we call a registration page, right? And this registration page actually tells you everything from your license ID, your installation ID, your company that registered to, right? This registered to me, right? So it's MTFESER, which is in Malaysia. So everything is here. But once I click activate, once I put in my activated Databridge MS license, so he will activate again my Databridge, but this time he will activate into Databridge MS. And there you go, you are in Databridge MS. And what happened is, just if some of you pay attention to, because Databridge SS only support up to 2 different scale, right? It will only show you 2 scale. But because Databridge MS support up to 6 different scale, you can see that I can then now set up more scales to go with it, right? So that is just one part of the limitation of SS, and when you upgrade to MS, it open up that maximum numbers of supports for the scale itself. And aside from that, once I put up the configurations, you can see that I have unattended configurations. I can support camera now. I even can do automatic reporting now, right, compared to SS. Okay, so hey, and all of the transaction, as you can see here, just now I click transaction number 45, is still there. There's nothing changed. The only thing changed is the features that goes with it, is the additional features that built in Databridge MS compared with Databridge SS. Okay, so this is how easy that you want to migrate from SS to MS. All right. So hey, maybe you could open up for some questions. So let's see in the chat box, right? If there is any software question, I will attend all of the Luxel questions after the presentation is over.
Anybody have any question till now for Databridge SS? So feel free to ask regarding the same.
everyone is clear on Database SS? Any other questions before I move on to Database MS? All right, perfect. Looks like everyone is well knowledgeable in the software as expected. Sorry. All right, good. No other questions. Let's move on. All right, to Database MS. Hey, Database MS, aside from all the changes that you see in the software itself, from Database software itself, actually there are more things that is happening inside the software itself. It's not only some of the additional unlocking that is happening within this software, right? So Database MS, why we differentiate it with SS is because MS is built with the idea of implementing unattended and automations towards that software, right? Why we want to do so is because if we just release one software to control every single thing that we offer, a lot of times customers are not ready yet to actually be in that kind of technology. Okay, they want to feel more using the software. That's why we have Database Access first before they do the migrations towards a more sophisticated technology within the Webwish system itself. Right, so that's why we have these two differentiation. And in Database MS, what we really do is we unlock more potential in connection to unattended modules, fully unmanned features, right? Camera upgrades. Right now, we even have license plate recognitions, right, within the Database software, MS software, and really what we want to do is introduce the idea of a fully unmanned Webwish to the customer. Although not immediately they could put everything into their Webwish, but they could do a step upgrade slowly, right? Maybe right now they add in the camera. In the coming 1 year, they add in the barricade, the traffic light, and the coming 2 years, they add in the unattended module, unattended system, right? Emailer system, right? Those kind of things can be slowly upgraded. So a lot of miscommunication, I would say, is that we always tell customer in a very upfront, hey, this is the full unattended system that you need from us, that you can buy from us, and everything is included there. You need to buy everything for it to work. My advice is, because the customer now are very budget constrained due to the pandemic, due to all this business being right. Logistics is raised by at least 50%, right? From 10% of the total cost of ownership now to 20%, right? So that's at least 50 to 60% rise. So how to help them is we still introduce them to this idea of automation, but we also introduce them the idea of the stage installations, right? So first stage you do maybe the printers, maybe the RFID, or maybe just the camera itself, and the next stage you move on to barricades, traffic lights, and later on only you fully equip every single thing within the Webwish system itself. Okay, so this is what we call easily upgradable, easily convertible from one phase to the other. Okay. And when we venture into Database MS, the value that we want to bring to our customer change a little bit, not everything, slightly. Because in Database SS, they already know that it's a faster transactions, right? Easier processing, simpler processing, and easily upgradable, right? So they already been through that values. And when you get into MS, so what you bring to them, what new values bring to them, right? So the first value that I want to emphasize on is data management. So in Database MS, we give a lot of different flexibility to customer how they would want to view their data. Okay, we give different. You can call it platform or you cannot call it features in Database MS for you to look at your data. If you want to, let's say, example, look at your tear history to see whether your truck is actually behaving differently, way differently when it's empty, right? Every single time when it comes in, we have that feature readily available within Database MS. So if you look at this picture here, right, you can see that number 1, number 3, number 4, right, is behaving differently. But it's the same truck. How can it behave differently every time the truck comes into the plant? How can it be so much different every single time it comes into the plant? You can't, right? It should be like number 2 and number 5. More or less the same. You can't go wrong with like maybe 50 to 100 kg. Maybe the weight difference, the petrol differences. Maybe the guy who drives the truck is a bit heavier or maybe lighter, right? Those are only things that you can maybe expect from the weight differences from an empty truck. But not so much as in like, hey, this is a big gap, this is a big gap, and this is a huge gap, right? So this brings you to the topic, and this is a very famous topic in India, which is fraud prevention. Okay, so you could use the data to actually help you to identify fraud. You could use the data to actually help you identify what are you making in a month, how many tonnage. By breakdown into accounts, into customers, into suppliers, all of that into a one very interactive reporting or transaction reporting features that we have. Okay, so hey, data management again is one of the key values that we want to bring to our customers when we talk about Database MS. Right, now when we are into the topic of fraud prevention, right, and we know now every single youngsters, I should say, in the world is getting more and more knowledgeable in terms of internet technology or information technology, right? The internet is like teaching them every single thing they want to know about hacking, about changing stuff, about putting on, doing some special stuff to the software, etc., etc. But so how do we actually protect our stuff, right? So every transaction that you do in Database, right, is protected in a sense where all the transaction is come with a unique identification value. Okay, you can see at the row version and the relevant data signature. These two actually play an important role. If you are an IT person, you should understand a little bit about data signature, right? So if the signature detects a change within the transaction itself, then this data signature will be different. When it's different compared to the original intended, original save, then Database will trigger what we call invalid data signature. And this invalid data signature then you'll be notified to you through a report or through your investigations, right? Then you know who changed, what changed, and you guys when this person changed that information. Okay, you can see this red line here. You could look at everything that is changed within that transaction itself. Okay. So again, the second value that we want to bring to our customers and when you present to your customers or whoever that is buying the software from you is the data protection. This is very important. Right. The third and final one with Database, not only Database MS but Database SS as well, is the tier up support that we put into this Database family, just for all of our customers globally and also in India especially. We have this tier is because when we start to introduce different level of technology to customers, you tend to have more questions, you tend to have more inquiries and doubts when it comes to playing something new, right? So we introduced this level so that it could ease some of these doubts, some of these issues, some of these bugs, if you have any, very fast and very easily to the customer. So the first level, when we say customer IT support, right? Hey, we don't just install our software and tell the customer IT support, hey, this is yours to support. No, we are not doing like this. We will train the customer IT or person in charge of this software every single thing that he would like to know about operating database and some of the basic configuration and basic troubleshooting that he or she should know when operating database. And when there's an escalation, right, when this guy or this lady is unable to perform the troubleshoot or perform the configuration change, it will then come to our India office. Our India office has a lot of different talents that could help you with database issue, PC switching issue that I believe our team in India is doing a lot, and also a lot of different change requests of configuration as well. Okay, so the second level is always on our local office. And with our local office talent, I believe they could solve maybe 90% of the inquiries that is available within all these existing customers. Hey, last but not least, usually come to myself, right? Or come to Jason before this, to support any major issue. Like, it's a software, and we do recognize that they do have some bugs, right? Some very rare issues, new feature introductions, right? Special troubleshooting related to the Microsoft SQL database or Microsoft integration itself. All this stuff is then supported by either myself, and if I cannot handle that request, right? Our factory in US, or even we have a support center in India to support you with all of this very rare, maybe 5% of the total number of tickets that we receive, or 5% of total number of inquiries that we receive globally. All right, so this is our support, this is our tier-up support, and for you WAS in India, it's especially important for you to know that we do have these support structures to support you when you sell the database to customer. We does not leave you alone, and we does not leave you hanging when there's something happen when you install the database. Okay. All right. So hey, coming along, all these features within Database MS, I will not go in very detail. It's because to run a full Database MS training would require at least 2 full days. Okay, but if you do see the needs for myself or someone that in some of our colleagues in India, right? Do let us know. We could schedule some of this training for your technical person, or maybe yourself if you would like to be the technical person for this, right? Do let us know. I can schedule a full training with you. Okay, just to go through everything from step 1 until
Can your mic is muted?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, hey, the first feature that I think a lot of you start using in add-on devices, because this feature allows you to add in your barcode, your RFID, your IC card, your generic smart pass. I believe India now they implemented the tollway with a smart pass already, right? Something that you see in the middle of this one, right? We do have support for that as well. We do this a lot with Singapore. I think at this moment I'm researching with India teams, right? The talents in India to see the viability of integrating to Databricks as well. Okay, so in all this is within these add-on devices, right? Hey, next is something for you to good for you to know is that Databricks actually do module installation, module introductions, meaning it's similar to how you see Microsoft Office, right? So Microsoft Office, they don't give you everything, right? You can just buy the basic module. They give you maybe Words, Excel, PowerPoint, but it doesn't give you Outlook. Similar to Databricks MS, we tailor the package to our customers because not all customers needed the invoicing feature. Not all customers needed the failover feature, the plug-in feature. Maybe the customer just need a base database only at this moment, right? And they want to add on the other stuff later on. Okay, this could be done because we just design database by introducing different modules at different stage, right? So we make more flexible buy-in for the customers. You don't have to buy everything now. You could buy slowly one by one, upgrade one by one, depending on the plant requirements or the customer requirements. All right, hey, last but not least, before I go into more technical in terms of introducing unattended, is all these certifications, right? OIML certifications, NTAP certifications is available. If any one of you needed this certificate just to convince a little bit more during your customer needs, you could download this from this website, right? This NMI certification, you could get it from me. If you need it, I could send it to you. I also have some other certification which is from Australia and Malaysia. I don't see that viable because you guys are in India, right? So the US and the Europe certification usually are enough to convince the customer. But end of the day, all the certification numbers is listed within Databricks itself. Any certification that we get in the future, if we get approved, we will put it inside this approval line, right? So we can very without a doubt tell customers that all this is, as you can search it in the Google, you can search it in the OIML website, you can search it in the NTAP website, and you could get all this certification from there as well. Okay. All right, good. Any other questions before I go into a more technical explanation of unattended Raymond? Any questions there? No? Good. There's one good thing I like to present in Asian countries is everyone is just a professional. From the first I say they are already professional, right? So no questions. Okay, unattended rain. I'm not sure how many of you here know about unattended rain, but unattended rain, as the name implies, meaning you do not need any operator intervention, right? So when you apply unattended rain, you will usually apply the unattended terminal so that like what you see from the very first slide that I showed you guys, right? Hopefully you still remember, you're still in your mind, right? That the truck driver could interact with either with a RFID card or either with a barcode scanner or either with any of the add-on devices that you put in. Maybe a long-range RFID, maybe a mid-range RFID. Yeah, that is something that you could look at. Okay. So, all right. Aside from that, then you could introduce introduce things like the barricade, the traffic light to help the truck driver know whether is it already done, is the transaction completed, and also to help you manage the traffic of the queuing a little bit, right? So if you imagine you do not put a barricade in front, right? All of the truck driver could just pass by, they don't even care about weighing, right? This could mean a disaster in your plant because you did not capture their weight, you did not verify their weight, you did not verify the transaction. This potential give you a headache at the end of the day. So by introducing some barriers, some traffic light in front helps the system to actually behave more stable, and it also helps the truck driver to know whether to go, when to stop, when to drive off, etc. So in front of you is a drawing, what I call a bird eye view line drawing that I usually do for my customers when we want to propose something to them in terms of unattended payment, right? So, hey, if you guys have any project that is running that needed unattended solutions, feel free to come to me, come to any of our Indian colleagues there. They could help you to understand a little bit more what is needed within the unattended system. Okay, I do recognize it's not as straightforward most of the time, right? But if you could just let us have this chance to talk to the customers, then from there we can ask the correct questions, paint the correct picture to the customers, and from there the customer would have easier time absorbing this new technology that we are going to put into their beverages. Okay. All right, good. Hey, I will not go again about all these values, right? Data management, data protection, and also automation solution. This is something that you should be able to sell to your customers by presenting these three values, right? Feel free to use any of my slides when you're presenting to your customers, or if you want to present to your customers. All of these slides is designed to help you actually. It's not to help me because I present it so many times, it's just behind my head, right? But it's to help you to explain it to your customers easily when you sell database, when you sell Webish, when you sell insights. All right, so hey, without further ado, I will go into the last chapter, the last part before our Q&A session is that I will show you a use case that I personally been to, and I personally installed this, helped to install the system with the customers, and I personally helped to verify the improvement that they've been through before and after. Okay, so can anyone tell me what plant is this just by looking at this drawing? Maybe I could ask Mr. Krishna again. Mr. Krishna, are you there?
Oh, Ken, I think he have not joined.
Okay, because it's in my list. Maybe Mr. Anuj from Procon.
Sir. Hi, sir.
Yeah, hey. Good afternoon. Hey, thank you for unmuting your line. Right, so simple question. What kind of operation do you think this is? Hey, very good. I see.
This is a rice factory.
Very close. Very close. Very close. Very close. Yeah, is food. Yeah. I saw somebody from Guru Nanak saying that it's a food processing plant. Very close. Any others would like to take a shot? Yeah.
It can be delivery also.
Yes, very close. It's very close. All right. So hey, if any one of you have got another idea, you can put it up in the chat. But
Ajay,
this plant just keeps its Cargill.
स्क्रिन रेकर्ड भइरहेछ
This is a Cargill plant. And with
स्क्रिनशट भएन
Cargill,
के
they have a lot of business, right? This is actually an animal feed processing plant, which specializes in corn and some other synthetic animal feed in Vietnam. Okay, so hey, congratulations to some of you. You are very close, right? Because more or less, the plant looks the same, right? Yeah. All right, good. Hey, so in front of you is a 3D drawing that I personally draw to map out almost similar to the plant that I visited. And when I go to the plant, guess what happened? A long line of traffic is waiting to go into the plant to collect animal feed. The reason why is because everything is manual. They do have their software, but their software is not specifically for weighing. The Cargill, Cargill is a big corporation. They do have their warehouse software, but the warehouse software is very troublesome to navigate from one video to another just to complete the session. And you could see here they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9. This is a truck driver. So they have 9 different people just to navigate the traffic. And I believe if you go to some of the plants in India, you will see the same thing. You have like tons of different guards, right? We call them guards in Asia, even in India, we like to call them guards. Navigating the traffic in the plant itself. So, per transaction, with all this navigation, with all these people helping, they took about 15 minutes just to complete one transaction. The reason is not because of the congestion. The reason is because there's a long queue at the scale house that is waiting for the operator to key in and complete the transaction. Right? It's not because of the truck driver, it's not because of all these guards that is handling it. It's just because the scale house is at its maximum capacity in data entry. Right? So this is the problem. Alright, so as you can see, this is more of an attended operations, right? So what they go through, like I said, firstly, when they go through, they need to register. This is the first pain point for them. Second pain point, like I said, order processing is extremely slow. Extremely slow. Warehouse receiving, they have their software, but warehouse receiving is also very slow. They do more of a checklist than more of a compilation of this. So every time they come here, they will do a checklist. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everything is correct. Then they move the goods, right? And last but not least, when they want to go out, even when they want to go out, they will need to walk again all the way to the truck, the scale house to finish off their transaction. So all this contributed in. So all this contributed in the long lines of queue in its plant itself. Okay. So hey, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and now hey, the transaction is 15 minutes. You could only do 4 transactions an hour, a day, 40 transactions. Hey, 40 transactions is not a lot for Cargill. 40 transactions is very, very limited for Cargill. Imagine Cargill, such a big operation, such a big plant, they are only able to build off 40 transaction loads a day. That's not enough. That's very little. Okay? And on top of that, they are hiring 9 extra staff just for them to handle this transaction itself, which is a lot. Okay. So now let's look at when we go in and implement unattended scenario. I think this is something that a lot of you would like to know. Because we talk about unattended, we talk about how good it is, we talk about how technological advanced it is, but end of the day is the result that speaks for itself, right? So when we go in, when me and the Vietnam team, a few very good talents going in to do this implementation, right? What happens? The registration counter will be only for new trucks. They are now presetting all of the existing trucks, right? Or any truck that have been to the plant before with all of the information. So the truck does not need to go through the check again, like what is your name, what is your truck number, what is your material that you're bringing in. Those kind of things is eliminated, right? You do not need to actually go through that again. So you reduce the pain point number one. Next, pain point number two is at the scale house. Like I said just now, they have long lines within the scale house itself because the operator is trying to keep every single thing. But now we introduce RFID tagging. So either at the gut house, they get a barcode or RFID depending on what kind of operation they are doing. They could then just go directly into the unattended operation, unattended beverage, and complete the transaction. No intervention there, right? No operating intervention, no gut intervention. The system then now is linked to the warehouse, right? Our database is communicating with their system to tally the material that is bringing in, to tally the weight that is coming in with the actual order that they place, or the actual order that is created for this supplier or for this customer. Okay, so you reduce quite a lot of times there by doing all the checklist. And last but not least, they could just scan and go off. There is no longer need to walk all the way back to the scale house and do the same transaction and go through the same queue again. Alright? So, with our database system, what we do is we put 5 different database clients, because all this is just client, at different places to help with the process, right? First is at the gut house, right? Second is at the scale house. Third is at the warehouse. Fourth is at the back office. I will tell you the reason why I put it at the back office. And 5 is at their finance, what you call admin office, right? Admin finance office. So the admin finance office is the main database because that's the most important. The finance is going through the data every single day. The gut house client is for registration of new trucks, right? Printing barcodes, giving RFIDs. Scale house client is, although you do not use it, but scale house client actually become client that controls the unmanned unit. Although nobody control it, you still need the PC to give commands, right? So you still need a database there. Warehouse client is just for them to look for information, tally information. And last but not least, the finance back office is where some of the finance people that is doing the billing, that is doing the tallying of the bills to let their boss sign off, right, to pay customers, to pay suppliers, right, is there, so they could use that system, right? Some of the guys within the main database there, they also use that, but they are not as detailed as this guy in the finance. So people in the finance, they could use module like the invoice system, they could use module like special reporting, special custom ticket, right, those kind of things. But people in the gut house, you do not need anything, right? You just need the database based client license. Then one only. You do not need other modules. Okay, this is why I told you in the first place, not all the modules is needed when the client purchase data bridge. Different station can have different package, can have different selections. Hey, and last but not least is the integrate with their SAP. Okay, so this is a very, very important point that I want to make to you is that DataBridge now, although there are some integration work to be done when we want to integrate to SAP, because SAP is a very highly technological advanced in terms of data management, in terms of data analysis. So there are some work to be done there, but we did able to connect SAP in a lot of cases, right? So if your client, if your customer have these requirements, get back to me, get back to my colleagues in India, they could help you to ask the right questions to find out what is the correct question to ask to get the correct information for data integration in SAP. Alright, good. So last but not least, before I want to go into the final presentation for myself and for you guys, is I'm happy to say that these customers are able to process about, if not mistaken, about 40 different trucks in an hour. And that actually helped them to reduce a lot of congestions coming in, and they are able to process their supplies, pushing out their goods more faster, getting paid faster, all this stuff. So we are happy to say that this is one of the very good success story even up to today. Okay. Hey, last but not least is something related to frequently asked questions in database, right? I will not go through in detail because we are lack of time, but the question is very important for you to ask the customers, or even ask yourself when you want to do database MS integrations, right? Questions like how to works, right? How do I edit transactions, right? You could ask yourself this to get the answer before customer asks you. And I ensure you these questions is very usually asked by customers, especially when you have integration to SAP, especially when you are doing unintended operations. Okay. So I will not go through in detail with this, but this is just some FAQ that I get from all the customers throughout the tenure in between supporting the database software and the business. Okay. All right. So we're coming to our last slide. I just run time. So what do you think is the 5 top key takeaways from this training? Sometimes I give the top 5 key takeaways from myself, but I would just like to ask for your feedback. What is the top 5 takeaways from this training? Any volunteers want to give their feedback? Anyone? If no, I'm going to choose again.
See the chance to get 3 database license.
Hello.
Yeah.
We are Ravindo here from the Gujarat territory, Northwest, India. Ravin Shah. Yeah, first of all, again, thanks for the brief and I can say detailed explanation of the load cells and understanding. Last slide was also good that understanding the process of the customer is always important. Their pain areas. So that thanks for a very good and detailed information learning presentation from your end, and we'll look for in future for more of it. So coming to the question for the top 5 takeaways, I would rate one as the ownership one, that how we can discuss with the customers for understanding the price breakup of these investments on the total weighbridge. Second, we can see further the upgradation. Like you showed the mobile technology upgradation going on from last 30 to 40 years. So I think so there are many weighbridges available of Mecca and other makes. So upgradation is the like weighbridge kit we have in our basket with the software. So that second point I can say that we can leverage through this presentation. Third is to understand more about the power cell, load cells, and that you gave an idea. So we can well communicate with the customers about the difference of power cell and PDX. So more digital DSP, digital signal processing, how it helps them in different aspects of their, you can say, increase accuracy and downtime avoidance. These are the two major factors we can. And last one I can say about the software upgradation was a good thing that give the comparison and start up with the SS and then easy way to go to the MS without many hustle ups and without major changes in the formats and code feature we can update to our MS SS users know how they can update with the MS and go for the unmanned or at least semi-automated system. So, is it transaction on going to the manual to auto or semi-auto to complete auto systems? So this will be my 5 points takeaway from the system. That concludes from my side.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, very valid point. All of this point is exactly the summarization of this training, right? So, like you say, cost of ownership is very important. Software, again, upgradation give you the flexibility, right? And when you do upgradation of your load cell or weighbridge, right, you want to compare the technological advancement so that the customer understand better, right? Good. Hey, thank you very much. And I think Prabha will kind of arrange you in getting the data bridge test license.
Yeah, my pleasure. So thank you.
So anybody have any other question related to software, database, maybe database MS? I may ask somebody. Maybe I think Navraj, Babukaji, you are on the line. So you people are using many database softwares and even with NTT solutions.
We service people are in front of this Microsoft Team training, and actually we are looking for the service side training on actually on the basis of database SS and database MS in depth. So actually, I came to know that this actually presentation is very good. Thanks, sir. And this presentation is actually based on the sales side.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think hopefully the slides here is going to benefit you because I know a lot of our VARs, right, when they go to customers, they are struggling to do some presentation to the customers whenever it comes to empty products. So I hope that these slides will benefit you in the long run when you do some presentation to the customers.
Yes, exactly.
As Ken told earlier, that see the weighbridge in India or anybody just selling a simple weighbridge is a kind of commodity now. So until unless you will not put some value over there, maybe the power cell technology and then database SS, database MS and anti-cheating solution, the customer, of course, otherwise they will just compare with the competition make. So we need to choose correct product, what we need to pitch over there, and then we need to put the value message to customer, so that we can get right value of our product, and customer will also at least understand the differentiation factors, and then of course they will give a better value to us.
For sure.
Any question? Yes. I think there are one or two questions we have.
Yeah, so let me go through it. I think Jason there helped me to answer some of those already, but I think we got a question from Akhilesh, right, from Builder Engineers. So, so if digital technology is same as power cell, then the point 5 in slide should be the same way as explain differentiation between analog, digital, and power cell. Hey, Akhilesh, great questions. Yeah, I think until today, your questions actually being asked by a lot of different engineers. Especially from customers, right? So, what is the key differences between analog, digital, and also power cells, right? So, if you could let me just go back to that slides there, right? So, let me just go back. Okay, so this one slide here actually helps you to define what is the, well, I will not say the bad thing about the technology, but the limitations of the technology itself, right? When you look at analog load cells, limitation is the output signal is easily disturbed due to the, maybe because of the environment, maybe because your junction box is subside in the water, or maybe there is some electromagnetic interference. And analog load cell technology have this issue with it, right? So that's why analog load cell tends to give some wrong values because of this. And of course, there's some other reasons that's listed here. When you go into digital load cell, what they do is they try to stabilize the analog signal so that it's not so easily disturbed, like either by external environment or by someone deliberately induce a change towards the signal itself. So the digital load cell introduce the analog to digital converter. Okay, so that's digital technology. When you come into the power cell technology, which is anti-proprietary technology, right now, we introduce not only analog to digital converter, there's something already available within the digital technology, but we also introduce what we call compensation, active compensation. And this active compensation is where we put algorithms accompanied by mathematical calculation within the algorithm to give you as ideal as possible of the weight within the readable weight once the truck is on the scale itself. Okay. So these are the three differentiations when you want to explain analog, digital, and power cell. Okay. So I hope I answer your question, Akhilesh.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. So. Yes, Tisha.
Jason here. So hey, Akhilesh, just to expand on what Ken talked about, I think prior to this, we are looking at maybe 3 to 4 years back. We market our load cells as digital load cells because we were the first to the market with our PDMs, right? So at that point, we didn't have much competition around digital. So it was much easier for us to differentiate ourselves at that time with our load cells because when we say digital, they would immediately think of us, right? Because we are the only player in the market with such a technology. However, fast forward 4 or 5 years now, more competitors have started to catch up with the technology as well, and now they are calling their technology as digital as well, right? So if we go to the market now with the same term that we used 4 or 5 years ago, like I said, it will dilute our message because they would think that our solution is in the middle column here in green, right? When it says digital load cells, but in fact it's not. It's under the dark blue column where we are differentiated from our competitors. So in order to evolve with the messaging that our competitor is using today with the digital, we got to stand out. And the way how we are doing is more of a marketing play, where when we talk to customers, we say PowerCell would sell instead of digital, so that they would ask further questions on, hey, what's PowerCell? Could you explain to me more? Could you tell me what's different than what Avery is telling me about their digital load cell, right? So it helps to create that curiosity, and hopefully it will give us an opportunity to differentiate our solution than the other digital solution that's in the market today. So hopefully that further clarify what Ken is talking about here.
Yeah, and just to add here, what Ken and Jason said, as you know that most of us are facing a situation in market that customer are competing our power cell with other digitals. So just as a summary, you can tell them that see, if you want just a digital load, any analog signal just need to convert it into digital. So just require a A2D converter and your signal will be digital. But is this a benefit for you? Until unless that signal is compensated, you will not get any benefit. Just take an example of any speaker you put in your house, and then that speaker have a noise. So if somebody is increasing the volume, enhancing the signal, so then what happens? The volume will increase, and apart from this, the noise will also increase. So that what we do in power to compensate that all the noise, all those unwanted signals will go. Our signal will be more stronger and more, we will be more here. And that's what efficiency will be very higher. Right? So we need to differentiate that whatever data in load cells we have in the market with our power cell. Otherwise, they will not give us value. So yes. I can give another. So, what is a normal track time while plugging just to system complete the process?
Okay, so the takt time usually is less than a minute when you want to scan the card. So the scanning the card is very fast, 30 seconds maybe, right? Sometimes lesser than that. But the whole transaction itself, from guardhouse, Baybridge, warehouse, and coming out usually between 5-10 minutes, depending on how long they spend in the warehouse. So in our operation, we don't usually spend more than 5 minutes. Anything less than 5 minutes is the right time that you can communicate with the customers.
Another is, could you please explain unmanned operation in very short?
Wow, you're challenging me. Yeah, I is an automated way without the help of the operators, right? So that's the easiest explanation you can do to your customers. So transaction processing without the help of operators is an alternate way.
There is another question. So this is related to the initial question you asked regarding the transportation cost. So yes, so he's from India have the demography. So he's from eastern part of India, and we have our structure fabrication unit in western part of India. So like in case of other supply, maybe this part the 10% is a normal case, but in such cases that 10% is increased to almost 20, maybe 25 or 30%. So this is a challenge for them. So of course we are working on this part and we will try to resolve as early. So the question from Ravinji. So structural difference of take in current digital load cell based or for us. So see the deck. So Ravinji, this is about the load cell mechanical part or regarding the beverage structure part?
Sir, it is regarding the deck, like foundation feed and the deck. We provide the modular design in big type and bitless. We have certain differentiation, like we can provide to the customers when we are offering PDX or GDD against the competitors. Like we are giving certain constant less or something like beam supports and all that. The other type. So it's safe.
the design which we use, that is especially made in India, so for Asian country, and what Ken is knowing about the other orthopedic design. So he might not be able to answer on that part. So see, what we are doing, we have made a unique design for here as per the local conditions. And as you know that for any beverage structure or any beverage operations company, the truck will come with some momentum and then driver will apply a brake. So of course, with our load cell, we have a unique rocker pin design, and then we, in a structure, what we do, we make completely fully floating structure. So this structure will help to minimize the any kind of momentum onto the beverage, and it will pass easily through the retaining wall. And then we don't use any kind of containers. So this is the uniqueness of our structure here. I think when it comes to the analog and digital load cell part, so this is the same. The same structure we use for both beverages. Only difference is a little bit about the mounting, and maybe in case of SPD load cell, or difference in the foundation hardware kit also. So hope I'm clear. Right?
Yes. Thank you.
Anybody have any other question? So I request you that whenever you have any prospect, anything, please try to push for hello pitching with power cell technology, and of course data research teaching solutions, and to have a better ability, and you can give a demo. So we have requested Ken. So whoever is interested, please get in touch with me or your channel manager. We will try to give you license and software installed in your PC, so that you can directly give a demo to customer whenever you are visiting to the customer, or maybe giving any virtual presentation to them. And you will also have software in your laptop, so that you can learn and you can of course explain to customers. So we will try to arrange this software in your PC as early as possible. So anything Ken you want to add on here, or maybe Jason?
Yeah, hey, I think from me, hey, thank you everybody, and I hope one day I could go to India and visit all of you. It's supposed to be my job to visit all of you actually. So hey, let's see what happens when the pandemic overs, and hopefully to meet you in person. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.